Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you're new, it's lovely to have you here, and if you're not new, it's equally lovely, so don't go thinking I like new people more than you, because I don't. This week I would like to introduce you to a lovely girl who I met on social media recently by the name of Santana Barella, or on Instagram Princess Scissorhands. And she has done this look, which I have interpreted in my own way. And this is for Valentines or Galentines or Gothentines or whatever you want to call it. I wanted to do a nice, straightforward, easy wearable, easy wearable Valentine's look. So this is it. I'll also be going through a little bit of history about St. Valentine's, because you know I like a bit of history, and I will also be asking you if you wouldn't mind to like this video. If you haven't subscribed, I think you really ought to, because it's just so easy to do, so go right ahead and do that. And if you'd like to show your appreciation for me not having any adverts in my videos, then do please go right ahead to my Ko-fi channel and buy me a Ko-fi, because that's how I get the money that I use for all the things on my channel. Without further ado then, let's get into the tutorial. Well then, a Valentine's or Gothentines or Galentine's look. I'm using one palette and one single and one shimmery single for this look, and it's a palette that I hope some of you have got. If you haven't, it doesn't matter, because there's only very few colours in this look, and it's the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette, and it looks like this. I've done green looks with it, I've done Christmas looks with it, I've done blue looks with it, and today we're going to do a lovely red look with it. So there's three colours I'm going to be using in here. This is Poppy, this is Raw, and this is Earth. Yes, it's a brown, because I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you look at blood, it tends to have a sort of dark brown tinge to it underneath. I mean, not a lot, but just enough to stop it going into being sort of like orangey red. So that's the theory anyway. And rather than starting off dark, I'm going to start with Poppy, which is the lightest one. So I'll just sort out my eye base. I'm using the Revolution eye base because I've got it and it works very well. And then I'm going to take, as I say, the Poppy colour, which is the lightest one, and I'm going to put it all over my lid. And as we go along, I will tell you a little bit about a few things. I mentioned lovely Santana Barella in the introduction, and it was her video that gave me this idea. Oh, I just need to point out this lovely little bat in a heart that I did. I stuck a bat sticker on, one of the ones that Of Dark Shadows sent me, and then I just went over it with some red eyeshadow, and I think it looks quite sweet. So anyway, so I was looking for Valentine's looks to do, and I just put a search into YouTube, and her look came up, and as you may know if you follow her, she is just the sweetest thing, and she does very easy to follow tutorials. And I thought, well, that looks lovely, so I asked her if it was okay, which I like to do because I'm a polite person, and she said it was fine, so that was good. And from there we get this, I think, pretty damn nice but simple to do. And the reason I wanted it to be simple to do was that somebody asked me the other day, do you ever wear these looks out? Meaning, I think in the subtext, I don't think I would really want to. Whereas with this one, I think the vast majority of it you could wear out. You could wear if you are going on a Valentine's or Galentine's date, or even if you're staying home to play with makeup. It's a nice, simple, straightforward one to do, and in my personal opinion, anyone can do it. So we're just going to go all the way round with this while I tell you a little bit about the day of St. Valentine's Day. Well, there's a number of saints called Valentine, and nobody's really sure as to whether a couple of them got mixed up and turned into the same person, or whether the same person got mixed up and turned into two people. But what we do know was that he was beheaded in 269, the year 269, in Rome by the Emperor Claudius. And the reason being is that Valentine was a Christian, and he used to allegedly used to minister to the Christians who were waiting to be thrown to the lions or executed, or whatever happened back then. And he also, rather foolishly in my opinion, tried to convert Claudius to Christianity, and all of this led to him being beheaded. Now, while he was in prison, I'm just moving on to the slightly darker raw colour, and I'm just going to go into my crease with this. You can probably see it like that there. And then I'm going to go in with the earthy brown, and I'm just going to go between the three colours. So so while he was in prison, you can see the brown there, but don't panic. While he was in prison, he may or may not have miraculously cured a girl of blindness, and then sent her a note which he signed "Your Valentine," because that was his name. And this is why the story goes that we send Valentines. And as I say, this is back in 269 that he was executed, and it was on the 14th of February. And ever since the 8th century, this is the day that his feast day has been celebrated. What was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, the other thing, of course, is that around that same time is the Roman festival of Lupercalia. And Lupercalia was a great festival for fertility, and there were priests, and there was chasing of women, and there was lots of blood-soaked goat flesh slapping going on, all sorts of things. So similar time of the year, similar idea about love and fertility and getting together to produce offspring, this type of thing. And so it was, if you remember my videos about Christmas and how they take on Saturnalia and the birth of the newly risen sun, Sol Invictus, and that sort of thing, this is similar to that. Anyway, so this was all going on in very, very early historical times, and it wasn't really until Chaucer, that wonderful English poet, came along in 1375 with his poem The Parliament of Fowls, where he says, and I quote, I've got it written down, "Saint Valentine's Day, when every fowl cometh there to choose his mate." Now, some people say, well, there you have it. And then other people say, well, birds aren't really mating in February, so Chaucer must have got this Valentine. I'm just taking a clean brush and blending. Chaucer must have got this Valentine mixed up with Saint Valentine of Genoa in Italy, whose feast day is in May, which is much more like the sort of time when birds are mating, etc., etc. But who knows? It's there, Chaucer's written it, and from then on, that's when we celebrate. Well, they had celebrated it already since the 8th century, as I say, but it never really got into the public consciousness, as it were, until Chaucer. Chaucer. How difficult is Chaucer? Quite difficult if you read it in the original, is my view, but there we are. Anyway, as you can see with this eye look, it's coming together very quickly and rather satisfactorily, and it's really all to do with this blending. There is a very pale, not white, but pale colour in this palette called Snow, so I'm just going to go around the edges with it just to diffuse this even further, and let you know that the first ever written Valentine that we have is from the year 1415, when the Duke of Orleans, who's a French fellow who was imprisoned after being roundly beaten at the Battle of Agincourt, was writing to his wife, and his is the first ever written Valentine that we actually have. Later on, Valentine's messages and cards and things that people made at home became a lot more popular. Sort of the mid-1600s, that sort of thing, is when we get the first ever printed poem. The first ever popularity of poem. The first printed one actually comes in 1784, and it's a classic. You won't believe it. The rose is red, the violet blue, honey is sweet, and so are you. And that's 1784, which is hilarious, really, when you think about it, that we're still using that sort of poem to this day. Right, now, so there we are with this. I'm just going to move that and put it over here. And I'm taking my Anastasia Beverly Hills single in the shade Noir, which is pretty much the best black you can get. And I'm just going to take that on a very small brush, because I have very small eyes, and also I don't want to use it up too much. I'm just putting it on the outer corner here, like so, in a sort of diagonal shape, and just taking it underneath a tiny bit, not too much, and then I'm going in with the blending brush and blending everything along the bottom and out. There we go. And it was really in Britain in 1840 when the penny post was introduced, that, I'm just darkening this up under here, that Valentine card sending became a bit more all the rage, because I don't know if you know, but up until then, if you posted something to somebody, a lot of times they'd have to pay to receive it, which is not really what you want. So after the penny post in 1840, Christmas cards, Valentine's cards, all this sort of thing became much more popular. Printing meant that you could either get lots and lots of very cheap cards, or sometimes at the other end of the scale you would get printed cards which were then handmade on top of, with lace and cutouts and all sorts of things. So very beautiful things. And then all the way up to the present day, we have in America 145 million Valentine's cards are sent every year, and in the UK 25 million. So have a think about that. That's a lot of Valentine's cards. I'm now taking my Crushed Pearls by Revolution in the shade Saint, and I'm just going to put a little bit in the inner corner. Yeah, myself and Mr. Jane don't tend to do Valentines because obviously we know that we're married and we know that we're each other's Valentine. Sometimes I make him a little card, or I'll make him a little something, but it doesn't usually last very long because these things just, you know, take up space and lead to dusting, which is never a good thing. The next thing we want to do is get our Essence liquid ink and do our eyeliner going that way, not this inner one, this outer one. So I'm just going to start right down here and go along the edge, take it up to there, and then attempt to get it. I mean, with Santana's looks, she does a nice high wing, which I'm very fond of. So there we go, take that up there and then bring it back down to there, I think. And this is the one that always gets caught in my scar, but let's not care. And hooded eye folk, if you haven't seen the tutorial which explains how to do this and get it not to look like a dog's back leg, I'll try and remember to link it for you in the description. Right, I'm now taking my KVD tattoo liner and I'm going to do the inside part. So this is where we hold our breath and off we go. So that is almost symmetrical, so pretty pleased with that. What now? Well, we're going to do some gems, and these are just crafting gems that I happen to have kicking about. I've got my facial glue and my picky up stick. I've got my gems on a bit of paper, which I nearly just dropped on the floor, and I'm going to do 3 up here. 1, 2, 3, like so. And then because Santana has got a piercing across her nose, I thought it would be nice to do a little one there as well. So oh, dropped it. Luckily I have one standing by as an alternative. So that's that. And before I put my lash on, and this week I'm using my House of Boo lashes. I was going to use my Penelope's Tears ones, but they're so vast and spectacular and sumptuous that you wouldn't see any of the eye look at all. So I decided to go with my House of Boos. House of Boos sounds like a pub. House of Boo lashes is what I mean to say. So before I do that, I'm going to do the lips, and for this I'm using my KVD Everlasting, which is everlasting because it's quite old, and it's in the shade Nosferatu. So there's 2 parts to this, so I'll just put this on standby. Right, so that's a nice dark red. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of coral reds, as you may know, and I do like a blue red or a very dark red. But here comes the clever part, and this is where Santana suggests that I'm just going to go up a bit so you can see me a bit better. There we go. Santana suggests that we use black eyeshadow on the lip. I know, and when she did it, it looked so brilliant. I tried it out immediately. So we just go along here, almost to the middle, you get a much more sort of blended look than you do if you were to use, say, this lipstick and a black liquid lipstick as well. So yeah, pretty happy with that. What do you reckon? Let me just try on the old mirror. There we are. I will put a lash on and I'll be right back. So, a potted history of Valentine's Day and Saint Valentine. A wonderful look inspired by and shamelessly stolen from Santana, whose channel I will be linking all over the shop for you. And it just remains for me to say, do please go out there and play with makeup. Whether you do Valentine's Day or whether you don't, it doesn't matter. Just grab some colours, grab some brushes and have a good time. I mean, that's what it's all about, really. And don't forget, those pets that live with you and share your life love you very, very much. And of course, I know you love them too. So stay well, stay safe, stay sane, and most of all, stay strange. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you like this look.